Goosebumps. They're so good. It's scary.
Right, folks, Squib Jib did another one and they did it before New Year's. So now they have they're actually less than the 20 mark now. They kind of already been there. Hopefully they can actually keep it up. They'll finally be done. But it's like, oh my gosh. Oh man, let's see. Even if they could do it, would they be able to? 57. If they do once a month, they'll get 57. It's like they need to make sure that they do 2020, the end of the first round of Drinking with Goosebumps. So they can get to Goosebumps 2000, which I bet they'll be able to track down those books. I think. It's like, I think they can. At least two of them have been released. Yeah, the first one has been re-released, so they should be able to find it. Anyways, we're here to actually talk about Say Cheese and Die again. Differences between the book and the episode. So, yeah, there is some differences. And I think the crazy part is that they touched upon it, but they didn't touch most of it. And that's why I'm doing this video. So anyways, for a recap, in case the people were like, not going to go over there and watch their freaking video so I can watch your video, tell us. All right, here we go. So Greg actually is in Mr. Sauer's class. One thing they didn't note is that he's an English teacher, which, of course, he's an English teacher. And he tells the class about the previous book events. So he has to write a paper of something that happened in his life that changed him. And he decided that. Sowers fails him on it, and Greg tries to debate, but it fails. He's forced to go get the camera. He actually tells Sherry the plan, which is one thing that changed from the book, is the fact that Sherry is a little bit more in this than it is in the episode. The episode, Sherry, he doesn't even tell Sherry about the plan of I'm gonna go get the camera. Instead, he's just gonna do it already. He's just because, well, they don't have much time, so they decided to cut that part out. Am I sad about it? No. But is it needed? A little bit. A little bit, but it's not bad. It's not really that bad. So she reminds him of the bad stuff that happens, and then that night he plans to get the camera. Beforehand, he eats dinner with his family, which, note, in the TV show, actually I need to check. Hopefully I'll check during and I'll actually say, yes, the mom is the same person. No, the mom isn't the same person. Even so, it's like, if they got a different person to play the mom, then they could easily get a different person to play the dad. I'm just saying. But yeah, because the dad was missing in this episode, they did not have a family dinner. Just saying. So his brother is now working at a photo shop, and Greg actually bikes to the location of the camera. The house is gone, and even the basement is gone. The basement actually got digged up and destroyed, and this is actually the next day, believe it or not. This is actually the next day. He doesn't go at night. It's the next day. I like that episode. But anyways, he digs, and well, apparently we got a boy and a dad who actually paid to have this area, this land. So now we have new owners, and his name is John, apparently. No, it's not me. Yeah, no, it's not me. So anyways, apparently there was a kid who's been stealing lumber from their freaking place, even though it's like, so he's stealing the rubble, or is still an actual lumber that you just bought? If it's rubble that is the rubble, then it's like, why do you care? It's like, I'm pretty sure that kid most likely is sadly poor and needs a freaking firewood. And you care about this why? But if it's new stuff, then it's like, yeah, I understand. You paid lots of money for it. So anyways, John is like, I caught him. And then Greg's like, no, I'm just looking for a camera. And he's like, oh, a camera? I think we threw that in the dumpster. So Greg's goes in and he finds a dead raccoon, and then he finds the camera. Of course, this changed from the episode because we don't get a John, we don't get his father. I don't think you kind of see the father in the book, but not really. But yeah, John, and not to mention, John actually suffered a messed up incident. We'll talk in a little bit. But yeah, episode wise, it's like I'm already just diving into the episode. But anyways, episode wise, he went at night. So he went at night, and the basement is still there. It's like, so he didn't even have to go into dumpster and stuff like that. And of course, you can see the horrible problem of this situation of where we're going to translate it to the episode is that so you got to get a dead raccoon for him to touch. And of course, I know it's going to be fake, of course, but it's like, we don't really need to spend money on that type of prop, right? It's like, right. And it's like, okay, well, forget. That's most likely what happened on that one. So, anyways, let's see. Goes and gets camera. John actually wants to check with his father if he can take the camera, even though they threw it away. It's messed up. Even the stores is kind of the messed up hassle of being like, you just was about to throw it away. It's like, yeah, never mind. I changed my mind. It's like, wow, seriously. So there was a struggle, and camera actually went off, and it took a picture of John, and it's John that's in serious pain. It looks like he actually gets a nail in his foot. Yes, so he basically gets sentenced the Marv situation from the first movie. Yeah, you remember that? Oh, damn. Yeah, he didn't bleed like crazy though. It's like that's one messed up thing that they didn't actually show in the episode because they cut this part. But yeah, it says in the book that while getting his dad, he actually stepped on a nail and he's bleeding very, very hard. He actually is bleeding out. And it's like, well, not bleeding out, but he's bleeding out. And I'm like, but technically Marv got that same exact thing in that movie. And the movie trumps sadly this book. So it's like, yeah, you can't actually tell us that he stepped in a nail and blood came out. It's like, yeah, but Marv already did that shit. And it's like he should have been infected, which maybe he is infected. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's not, don't look into that details. But anyways, yeah, so Greg has the camera. The next morning, he tries to avoid Sherry. It's too late. Sherry actually goes. There's a struggle. The camera went off and gave her a photo. It's a negative. And then she teases Greg and makes a point. And Greg actually gets the photo. So she took a photo of him, and now he's 400 pounds. And he's like, if only I listened to you. So the next morning, so yeah, they just cut from this morning to the next morning. So the next morning afterwards, even though it's the episode does this a little bit better, funny enough. Yeah, okay, I can see that there's a madness to the episode, but you can see why they did this because as you can see here, it's like they did this thing as he going to school. You're not gonna actually talk about him going to school and pass the day or something. Instead, we go to this part in the first day, the next day, and then the next day after that. So there's a gapage of this day. So I'm glad that the writers did it. And it's like, yeah, the writers suck. It's like, no, Squid Jib, the writers actually are very, very smart. They have done something better. So, anyways, the next day, he's fat, buttons fly off, his pants split into two, which makes sense why it didn't happen. Sherry's skinny, her skirt actually falls down on her because she keeps on losing weight. Let's see. The next day after that. No, frick, the next day after that. It's like, my gosh, we're just skipping days, aren't we? Freaking skipping days. What the frick? Anyways, we're skipping days. So now the next day after that, Greg is so fat that his teacher actually picks on him. No, you shouldn't sit in the chair. No, stand over there in the corner. Oh, wait, no, you're going to block out the sun. It's like, what the frick? So I can see why they kind of took that from the episode and decided to actually be like, we could put a funny in it. Let him sit in the chair. Let this chair break. That works out perfectly, doesn't it? It's like, yeah, instead of yeah, that makes sense because the kids weren't laughing at his jokes whatsoever. So, anyways, it turns out the mom and the dad actually tries to take him to the doctor, and he can't fit into the normal car because they had to get a brand new car because of the previous time that happened. So the dad actually rents a van, and it can't go very fast because he's so damn fat. Wow. I mean, wait, hold on. Isn't Kingpin like 600 something pounds and his cars go fine? So, dude, what the hell? He's like, dude, what the hell? That means Kingpin should have hard times of making the meetings and stuff. Oh yeah, and as for Sherry, when she goes to walk into school, it takes her a long time because the wind always able to blow her over because of how skinny she is. So the dad actually rents the van, can go fast, like I said. The two actually talk later, and they take another picture of Greg, and Greg actually still fat but scaly skin too. What the frick? And they're like, okay, we could tear the photo. It's like, no, no, no. What happens if we tear the photo? So they're like, we got to think positive. It's like, oh, positive. So they go to the brother. The brother actually helps mix it from positive to negative, negative to positive. And the next day they're cured. Greg actually storms in and he's like, yeah, here's the camera proof. And the teacher's like, the camera? Okay, well, okay, class, get together. Let's take a photo of the class. And it's like, oh, shit. And he takes the photo. Man, that's as bad as the freaking mannequin, the freaking Mad TV mannequins. Yeah, because it's funny. Where it's like the first part of the mannequin, the freaking the police officer got killed, even though it's like, why in the world are you even? It's like, it's funny as hell. But in the last part, it's like, she's like, I'm safe. I'm finally safe. And the mannequin kills you. Then we got a bunch of freaking police officers, and they're like, yeah, we finally caught the killer. And they all take a group photo, and the mannequin's behind them with the knife, and they're all dead. It's like, oh, what the frick? Same exact thing of where it's like, oh, damn, you doomed them all. Kind of, because you can technically take the negative or positive, whatever that came out, that which we don't know if it's negative or positive, but either way, you could easily go take it to the freaking shop and clean it up. Either that, or oh my gosh, this is a good one to do another video on, but I'm gonna do it when Paparina does it. But it's amazing that the teacher, if anything happened to those kids, the teacher will be liable for that. The teacher will actually get sued and kicked out of school. He is losing his job because of this dumb idea. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Oh, let me check something right quick. I'm doing good. All right, now we get to the episode, even though I already talked a little bit about the episode. First thing I really need to say is the episode, for some reason, has to insert say cheese, say cheese, say cheese. And I'm like, what the fuck is this crap? It's like, who exactly thought that was a good idea to do that thing on the freaking who? Who thought of that? Who thought of this? It's like, think it was even the writers. It was the freaking music department. But whoever did that is a total idiot. I mean, frick. I mean, yes, maybe the episode is a little bit dark because the book is dark, but that doesn't mean you should easily just be like, oh, let's throw it a say into it. It's like, what the frick? So, anyways, we're start at nighttime. They decide to add something very extra into this. So we start at nighttime, and there's a nightmare that happened of a hooded figure with a skeleton, and he's like, "It's time to use the camera. The camera's cool, isn't it?" And he's like, "No," and he falls out of the bed. The mom checks on him, and then we get into the morning time. So Mr. Sowers actually graded his paper. He's in the freaking room alone. He fails him due to saying it's not true. We get to see some flashbacks of the previous episode. Of course, one thing they didn't even mention is the fact that, oh yeah, that guy from the previous episode with this, he has been replaced with some nobody. Ooh, ouch. I forgot his name too. It's like I forgot his name, but you know who it is. Let's see. So the grade can change if he can prove it. He goes and the house is gone. He goes actually the day of all this, it happens. He doesn't wait until the next day. He actually goes now. And as you can see, Sherry is nowhere to be found to tell him, hey, not a good idea. Or he goes to tell Sherry, I'm going to do this. He does some narration, and well, he does find a sign that says it's sold, and he's like, Spider! Which, in case you don't remember, in the previous episode, unlike the book, Spider is dead. In the episode, Spider actually got released by the two idiot the two idiot bullies. So why they don't actually mix Spider into this mix, I don't know. It would have been cool if they actually got Spider in the black hood and he takes a picture of the kids, of him in the nightmare. But of course, I'm pretty sure they couldn't get the guy who actually played the spider. So that's the sad news of that's most likely what happened. And they had to write him out. I'm pretty sure that might have actually been something they actually wanted to do. I'm pretty sure they did that in the first episode too, of him showing up in a nightmare. It's like, oh, what the fuck? Well, anyway, so the basement is covered. So the basement's not destroyed in this episode. And the episode is not destroyed. There's a bat that comes out that's being nutty as hell, and then he goes down. There's more bats, and the camera's actually out in the open. I need to remember what happened in the episode, but I'm pretty sure they just put it back. So the camera actually is just sitting there. I'm pretty sure they actually put it somewhere, and no, I think they just left it and walked away. Well, either way, so let's see. Yeah, so the camera's out in the open. He takes the camera. A police officer, a bodyguard, or whatever sees him, and he's like, "Oh, what the hell are you doing here?" He's like, "Oh, kids keep running down here." It's like, kids keep running down here. There's more kids that actually went down there and didn't actually. Oh, frick, did they take a picture with the camera? Oh, frick, did they take the picture of the camera and walked away and got hurt later on? Oh, what the frick? Well, anyways, the guy actually wants the camera, and Greg actually took a photo of him, and he fell, and it turns out in the photo he actually fell down as well. So Greg comes home late. The mom catches him saying, "You missed dinner," and he's like, "Well, I had to do research for my paper, but the paper was due. I thought you turned it in." And he's like, "No, I got." Well, he didn't say this, but it actually does make sense if he did say this, but considering he's still a kid, he wouldn't say this, but he got an extension on his paper. And his mom actually says, "I want you to get a good grade." And apparently, if he doesn't get a good grade, he doesn't get to go to summer camp or something. So his mom actually tries to give him some dinner. He's like, "No, no, I'm not hungry. I'm going to go to bed." Kind of like in the book where he was thinking about the camera so much that he couldn't actually eat during family time. I guess that's a nod. So his brother again is late to work. And his mom's like, "You're always late to work." It's like, you could get fired. And he's like, "Dude." And all he did was like, "Dude," it's like, "Mom, I'm the only worker there. I'm pretty sure he's not going to fire me. I'm the only person working there." So Greg actually gets to look at the camera, and after a little while and a little spook, he puts the camera in the cupboard, locks it, and puts the key under his pillow. Then we get to the next morning. Sherry actually sneaks up on Greg, and Sherry confronts Greg. So where happened previously, it now gets put here, even though technically Sherry actually does talk to him the second time in the book. So anyways, there was a struggle. Photo was taken. It's a negative. She took it of him. Took a photo of him. She laughs about it. He's fat. She laughs about it even more. Taking the camera, and so he takes the camera and puts it in the school. So the next day, he can actually get it and show it to the teacher. So the camera is actually at school, which I guess technically in the book the camera's at school as well. But let's see, anything else. Shoot. Oh yeah, the fact that he did talk about saying, "I guess it's broken," and then she takes a photo of him. It's like, well, what if it isn't broken though? And it's like, oh frick, because she took a photo of him. She accidentally took a photo of her. It's negative. Takes a photo of him. It actually is normal. So it's like, oh frick. It's like, oh frick, you put it back in line, you idiot. Actually, it's still okay no matter what. So nighttime happens. Greg actually checks himself. Not in that way. Looks in the mirror to see if he's fat yet. And in the morning time, he is fat. And note, I thought they gave him a fat suit. That's the wrong answer. It turns out that they puffed up his cheeks by prosthetics, maybe, or putting something in his mouth. And they got a fat dude. So they actually got a double. They got a fat kid actually starring as Greg. I bet chances are in this day and age, it actually will look seamless. But now, since I can actually really look at him, like, oh. So there's a phone call. Sherry actually calls, which of course that didn't happen in the book. And she was like, she tried to talk to him about, "Hey, my condition sucks," but he couldn't do it because he had to go to school. So the mom actually tries to come in. He kept pushing the door closed. Now he has to look for clothes, and eventually I think he got his brother's clothes. He comes to school late. The kids laugh, and Greg has to reintroduce himself. And the teacher thinks it's a freaking costume. The teacher tries to take a photo with the camera he has, and it's like, no, no, don't take a photo. Don't do that. So he gets to sit in this one. He gets to sit. The seat breaks on him, and he runs out of class embarrassed. Then we get to nighttime. Sherry actually comes over. And as you can see, as you guys know, Sherry's now thin, pretty thin. They talk, and well, there's pain that she feels, and they decided to actually take a photo of Greg to see if it actually changes itself. And sadly, instead of Greg getting scaly, which note in the book, they only actually, and in the episode, they only actually do one photo, which is the photo that's dire that's screwing him over. So technically, in the book version, at the end, he should still be scaly. Oh, damn. While in the episode version, he would be pretty buff. I'm pretty sure it's buff. It's either he got buff or it acerbated the freaking process, meaning that it speeded up the process of him getting fatter. Let's see. So think positive, and then they're like, okay, so they have to go to his brother. Instead of actually, well, excuse me, if you know, your brother actually went late in the episode. In the episode, he went late to work. So then why did they wait till the morning? Yeah, they waited till the morning time to actually be like, okay, we need you to turn this positive to a negative and this negative to a positive. Hurry. This is dire. And the brother's being a little bit hesitant. Hesitant. Yeah, hesitant. He closes the shop. He actually closes the shop and takes them to the back so no one can see them. And Shuri is actually at the point of death. And the clock is ticking, and eventually, before the clock runs out, they are cured. So finally, the next day of presentation, yes, now they actually skipped to the next day because, well, whatever. So the next day in the presentation, Mr. Sowers actually still doesn't believe him after he gave him the next installment of the freaking story. And he thinks that he's overachieving, saying there's lots of kids who actually tries to pull the wool over my eyes and actually make me actually change the F to an A. And you went so above and beyond everyone else, but still, no, I don't believe you. And there's a struggle for the camera, and the camera actually was snapped on Mr. Sowers. And well, it turns out now he is doing a, what does Corey always say? A, oh crap. A Jason consistent. Well, anyways, the freaking guy from Seinfeld, he's now balding. He's now doing what Principal Chalmers is like, I'm balding. Why doesn't anyone honor the ding? And it's like, I honor the ding, sir. What are you talking about, Skinner? But anyways, that's the last bit of it. So would it be pretty cool if Greg actually still became buff, but the kids in the book, the freaking kids, not to mention that he would still be scaly, which means he still actually has one more photo to do, because those, there's no way how both of them, I don't know, I don't understand. But anyways, those kids in the book, I'm pretty sure that the freaking teacher's liable for it. And it would be cool as hell that the teacher's now getting screwed over, even though he's like, I didn't do anything. It was a photo. It was a photo. That kid can tell you that he had a strange camera. It would be cool if Greg's like, I don't know what he's talking about. Oh, have a scary day and have a scary night.